So welcome. My name is Teresa.
Oh,
I'm the Sales and Marketing Director here at Terwilliger Plaza. And we have a very large group today. Obviously, a lot of interest in the health services topic. So that's really great. And we welcome all of you. I'm going to pass it off right now to Bob Johnson, our CEO, to welcome everyone.
Hello, everyone. A big welcome to all of you who are here. I'm very excited and proud to present our health services. We have a tremendous group of people, and so I'm really pleased that that they're here to do this panel today. You should be able to see the live stream of the Parkview construction right now on the screen. They're making really good progress there. They have completed the pouring concrete of all 4 quadrants on level 3 and are now at the top of your screen. They're starting starting to put up the concrete forms for the level 4 construction or level 4 concrete. And so I expect that will be poured probably during this nice stretch of weather we're supposed to be having for the next 4 or 5 days. That's what I anticipate. But anyway, really good to have you here. Appreciate this. It's going to be a great program, and I will turn it back to Teresa.
Great. Thank you, Bob. By the way, you don't have to wait for these events to see that live cam. It is live on our website on the Parkview page. So if you'd like to follow that, please feel free to do so. We actually have some people who log on every day and count how many workers are on the job site. So it's kind of fun. So a lot of familiar faces on this call, but just in case you haven't been on one of our calls, I just want to remind you, we do have the chat room. If you have a question, please feel free to put it in there. We're going to keep this presentation to questions specifically about our health services. If you have questions about other things, you can certainly put them in there and we will get back to you one-on-one with those answers, or just pick up the phone and call us. And we will have a Q&A session at the end. So, and I think most of you know, but when everyone registered, we asked for questions. So our goal is to attempt to answer all your questions that you submitted when you registered. And I'm sure there'll be a few at the end that we maybe didn't answer in full, or you maybe want a little more detail on. So we are going to be recording this. As you can see, it is being recorded, and then we'll send out a link about a week later. I do have a couple board members. Actually, I lost track of who got in here. I know Linda Mather is here. Linda Mather's our board chair. I believe Kay Moran and Roger Wirt may also be on the call, but I have so many on my screen, I can't quite see them. So if you're here, thank you for joining. And then I just want to also let everyone know, we have about 100 people RSVP for this event. About 40 of those people are Parkview members. So those are people who've already reserved in that home, in that building that Bob just showed. So, which, if you don't know, that is a new building that will open in the fall of 2023. And we're a little over halfway reserved on that. So if that's something you have an interest in, please do reach out to us. We are reserving those quite quickly. So also, for those of you who are more interested in our main campus, Tower and Heights, just throw out there, we do have homes available in both of those buildings, actually only one in the Heights right now. So let us know if you're interested. And then I'd like to introduce my team, Jessica Moon, there she is, and then Jojo. Here's Jojo. And Lori is also joining us, and then Michael as well. So I'm sure most of you have talked to 1 or 2 or 3 of us. So, just want to let you know we're here to help. And then also Ryan Miller, there's Ryan on my right screen. He's our new COO. I think we're on, is it week 8 now, Ryan? Something like that?
maybe 9. Let's go with 9. 9 sounds
Okay,
better.
do 9.5. We'll call it 9.5. So let me go ahead now. We do have 4 people with us today on our panel. The first person I'll introduce is Mandy Brenchley. She's our VP of Health Services. There's Mandy. And then we also have Heather Lucas, who's our Director of Health Services. Hi, Heather. And then Kat Moore is our Director of Ally In-Home Services. And there's somewhere, there she is. And then we also have Tamara Clifton, who's our Wellness Manager. And one person who couldn't join us today, who's out of the office today, is Christine Salas, who is our Director of Community Social Services. So the rest of the team will take up and share the parts and the things that Christine does. She's absolutely incredible. So if you would like to meet with her one-on-one and have some other questions answered, we can certainly set that up since she couldn't join us today. So let's see, I think we'll go ahead and get started. First, I'm going to ask Mandy to kind of give us an overview of our continuum of care. I'll back up just a little bit. I know there was a review on the Zoom registration, but the things that we're going to learn about today, these are questions that me and my team get asked over and over and over about continuum of care and what does it cost to go to assisted living and do I have to go to assisted living, all those things that you asked about. So we're going to attempt to help you understand that better today. But again, if you have questions, please let us know in the chat room and then we'll have a time at the end. So Mandy, I'll let you do an overview of the continuum of care here.
Great, I'd be glad to. And I'm going to keep it brief to begin with and allow others on the call to do a deeper dive into the specific services delivered in those areas. One of the great attributes of living in a community like Terwilliger Plaza is the ability to access the amount of support that best fits the lifestyle and changing needs of our members over time. Our philosophy and approach to the care continuum embraces a holistic view of healthcare. Each specific program or service plays a role in creating an environment that promotes optimum health and wellness for our members, regardless of where they are at in the aging process. Our care options include our assisted living community, the Terrace, and our residential care community, the Metcalf. Both offer enhanced services, providing us with the ability to meet a broad range of healthcare needs, ranging from minor assistance to total care for all activities of daily living. Each community is staffed with certified and non-certified staff and are supervised by an on-site licensed nurse 24 hours a day. This staffing model allows us to provide a higher level of skilled care in the assisted living setting, such as what one would receive in a traditional nursing home. For those who may require short-term nursing supervision or caregiver assistance, we offer a short stay benefit similar to respite care in our Metcalf residential care community. Under this benefit, Plaza members residing in independent living are offered 3 complimentary days in the Metcalf per year at no additional charge. This is a great benefit for those who may require some temporary assistance following an outpatient procedure or are recovering from an illness before returning to their independent living apartment. Rehabilitation services such as physical, occupational, and speech therapies are available to all Plaza members, no matter where they live on campus, and can be arranged on site through our outpatient provider, Infinity Rehab. These services are typically covered by Medicare B, and Infinity works with most insurance plans. Additionally, members living in the Terrace and the Metcalf are eligible to receive one-on-one restorative services designed to help maintain strength and mobility. Terwilliger Plaza also has its own licensed in-home service agency called Ally In-Home Services, which provides a variety of support and care services for those members who may need a little bit more assistance in completing activities of daily living, but desire to remain in their homes. And because we recognize that the Plaza is home to many members who require only occasional access to medical services on an as-needed basis, we recently opened a health clinic. The Plaza Health Clinic provides independent living members access to an on-site licensed nurse, allowing members the opportunity to receive a variety of nursing services without the need to leave campus. And finally, we have a licensed clinical social worker, Christine Salas, who unfortunately was unable to be with us today. With her role is addressing the psychosocial needs of our members and those who are requiring additional resources and support. Example of services provided include cognitive and depression assessments, temporary one-on-one counseling, and support regarding reasonable accommodation requests or applying for financial assistance. Social services also offers a variety of support groups based on the current needs of our memberships. That's a quick overview of our health care services. You'll notice I didn't mention wellness, but I do want to say that the healthcare team and our wellness programming are inseparable. We really work in tandem. We need each other in order to help you maintain your optimum health and well-being. But so I'm going to leave it up to Tamara to kind of highlight a little bit more of the wellness program as it relates and supports healthcare goals.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mandy. You can tell from that overview that there are a lot of options. And so I'm going to ask Kat from Ally In-Home Services to give us an overview of how Ally can help.
Thank you, Teresa. It's nice to see everyone this morning, or all your little faces. So Ally In-Home, we are a licensed in-home care agency with the state of Oregon. And we're actually a comprehensive agency where we can help you with your medications, and we have nursing support as well. Our caregivers can provide anything from companionship all the way up to full care if that's what you're needing. And Ally is great in that you can use it on a temporary basis, or it can be long-term depending on what your needs are. We start off with a 2-hour minimum for our appointments, and then we can provide all the way up to 24-hour care. We do have 15-minute visits, our short visits, which we can do one task in that visit. It can be administering your medication, doing a wellness check, helping you make your bed, some small task. We are all employees of Terwilliger Plaza. We just work under the different business name, Ally In-Home. And we are able to see members outside of the community as well too. Most of the members that we do see are in independent living, and we are able to see folks in the Terrace and the Metcalf as well if they're needing additional one-on-one support. And then with the Plaza Health Clinic, that's another aspect that I oversee at Terwilliger. And you can call the clinic if you're not feeling well and you want someone to check on you and see if it warrants a doctor's visit, or if there's something that we can help with. We can do anything from blood draws to urine analysis and send those out to the lab. We can do vitals check on you, and we can also just help you communicate to your doctor if that's what you're needing for that day. We can also help you navigate appointments if you're going through a difficult time and you have a lot of appointments or something going on. We also host quite a few on-site outside providers. We have a hearing aid specialist that comes in once a month. We have 2 visiting podiatrists, and then we have 2, nearly 3, working on the 3rd, mobile dentistry providers that come on site for us. So we have a lot of areas that we can help you with.
Thank you, Kat. Someone did pose a question. You had mentioned a 2-hour minimum, and then you also mentioned the 15-minute. Can you explain that minimum and how it relates to the 15-minute sessions?
So the 15-minute visits, they are just one task in 15 minutes. We don't want to rush, and we don't want to cause any unneeded injury or anxiety or anything. So if it's a 15-minute task, we can do that, or it is our 2-hour minimum. And right now, currently this year, our hourly rate is $34 an hour. With most local in-home agencies, their minimum is a 4-hour minimum, and actually their prices are quite a bit higher as well too. So we actually stay below everyone's hourly minimum, and we stay below their hourly cost as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We also had a question about Infinity Rehab, if they work with Kaiser. I believe the answer to that is no, but Mandy, do you happen to know that?
Actually, Ryan and I met with Infinity Rehab yesterday, and they informed us that they have, for the past 5 months, have been working with Kaiser through their, to try to get credited through them. They do believe that they will have that approval in the next few weeks. It's not a guarantee, of course, but they are really optimistic that they will be able to accept Kaiser insurance in the future.
That is really good news if that happens.
Mhm.
Teresa, can I share a little bit more about that?
Sure.
So, generally speaking, it seems that Kaiser has recognized, thank goodness, that there is that they want to better support the aging population than they currently are in their outpatient programs like PTOT and speech, which is why we're starting to see this, because I've heard this from other providers as well. So what would be beneficial to us and our industry as a whole is to share your expectation that you could see services in a community that you live in. So I very much appreciate your voice to your providers expressing that.
Thank you, Ryan. We are starting to get several questions. I definitely want to make sure we get through everything. So I'm going to actually move on to Heather, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about assisted living and skilled nursing, if you will, and the difference in that. And then Heather, one of the questions you might just go ahead and answer is if the rooms in assisted living are single or shared.
Sure. Okay, so let me pull up my health services is a big area, so I made myself some notes here. An overview of the Metcalf and Terrace. So as Mandy had mentioned, the Metcalf is a licensed residential care facility. We refer to that as an RCF. So if you hear me reference that later, that's the Metcalf that we're referring to. It has a capacity of 29 licensed apartments on a single level in the tower. The Terrace is a licensed assisted living facility, or ALF, with 43 units between 4 floors, and has a capacity of 64 total members. The difference, so I kind of wanted to reference here so you have an idea about the services we provide. In your typical standalone, not Terwilliger Plaza, ALF or RCF, you might only have one registered nurse 40 hours a week, and then unlicensed staff, caregivers and med techs providing that 24-hour support to residents in these types of settings. But here at Terwilliger Plaza, we are fortunate to have not only that one 40-hour RN, which is our health services clinical manager, but we have, in addition to that, 24-hour staff of LPNs or RNs on site 24 hours a day to meet these higher acuity needs in our ALF and RCF. The only difference between the licensures really is kitchenettes. So the Terrace apartments are required to have kitchenettes, and the Metcalf units are not. So really that is the only difference there. The Metcalf is where our 4 short stay rooms are located for that short stay benefit that Mandy had mentioned. And let's see. So the question then on Teresa, it was the apartments.
Yeah, whether they're shared or private.
Yeah. So they're all private. However, we do have some spouses that live together, and there's always that possibility of, siblings or some other similar living arrangement that could happen, but they are private apartments, unless it's one of those scenarios that 2 individuals move in together, entering into that agreement. And then going into additionally into our staffing approach. So outside of those LPNs and RNs 24 hours a day, we also have the unlicensed or licensed direct care staff that are caregivers or CNAs, certified nursing assistants, med techs or certified medication aides. We also have a staffing manager and staffing coordinator that is responsible for the 24-hour staffing needs in those areas. I kind of wanted to give you a typical staffing plan. So we staff based on acuity. And acuity are those accumulative needs of our individual members. So how we determine that is we have an electronic health record, and each individual member has their own plan of care based on their needs and their preferences. And so that amount of time for that individual can be captured in our electronic health record, and we run reports, and that report will tell us how many direct care staff do we need to meet the anticipated and unanticipated needs of our residents living there. And so we look at that at a minimum of monthly, but we also look at that acuity with every new admit, with a discharge, and if we've had anybody with a significant change of condition that may greatly increase or decrease the amount of direct patient care we need to provide. So that is how we determine how many direct care staff we're going to have on. And to kind of give you a typical scenario of what that looks like, in the Metcalf, we may have on an average of 12 to 15 residents. And on a day shift, we would have one LPN or RN and 2 caregivers to that 12 to 15 residents. That would be day and swing shift. And overnight, we would have 1 nurse as well as 1 caregiver to those 12 to 15 individuals. Now, again, this is based kind of like on the norm with our acuity, so it's not set in stone. In the Terrace, day shift, our typical staffing scenario would be an LPN or RN. You would have 1 caregiver per floor of the Terrace. There is 10 to 11 apartments on each floor. You would have 2 med aides or med techs. So that would be 1 med aide or med tech per 2 floors to administer medications. And then depending on the acuity, there may be a 5th floating aide. So that 5th caregiver can go between floors, helping with 2-person transfers. If we have members that need assistance with eating, they can cover breaks. And that would be the same on day shift and swing shift, but the exception to swing shift is there would only be 1 med aide. And that is just simply because the number of medications administered in the evening are far fewer than what is administered during the day shift. And then during the night in the Terrace, we would have 1 LPN or RN and 1 caregiver per floor. There would not be a floating aide overnight for the night shift. And those are kind of our typical staffing models, what we see on our acuity right now. Was there anything else I wanted to mention on that? I don't think so. And then talking a little more about the short stay benefit. So that, of course, is 3 days free to you, not free to us, of care in the Metcalf. And that those days aren't accumulative, so you can't add those up year to year. It's a kind of a use it or you don't. And if somebody was to require additional days beyond that 3 days, there is just a flat daily rate. So it wouldn't matter how much care you need. It is just a set flat daily rate for a short stay. We have the 4 furnished short stay rooms, and those are assigned based on an individual's needs and anticipated length of stay. The rooms are all a little bit different in size, bathroom, showers. So I take into consideration if somebody was having, say, a hip or a knee replacement, I take into consideration which side of the body is it, how do they need to get in and out of bed, and how those rooms are set up. So that's why I always like to say I take an individual's needs and anticipated length of stay into consideration when we assign those. Ideally, short stays are prearranged, as it's very difficult to do the last minute admissions. And I say that because we are a licensed care facility and we are under regulation. We are required to have signed physician orders from your physician or a hospital discharging physician. There are specific items that we need orders for, signed medication lists, TB test orders, you know, just to name a few. And we have to have those on hand before you can admit. So, you know, at a Thursday evening, 7 p.m. admit is likely not going to happen, as your physician may not be in the office to give orders. So again, prearrange if possible is ideal. There is another piece called an evaluation that must be done by our RN. Ideally, those are done prior to admission, but there is some leniency and regulation that can be done within 8 hours of admission. I discourage it if possible, though, just because it makes for a less smooth transition. It's really ideal to know your needs, your preferences prior to you coming in for a short stay, so we can communicate those to staff, incorporate it into your care plan, and give you the best care possible, knowing your needs and preferences. I do like to mention that since the Metcalf is not a licensed skilled nursing facility or SNF, SNF, any therapies that you receive while in the Metcalf would be part of your Part B benefit of whatever insurance plan you have. And typically Part B benefits only cover up to 2 days per week. If somebody was going to a skilled nursing facility for a skilled stay, Medicare or their benefit may cover up to 5 days a week. So I always like to encourage a member, if they've been in the hospital for a qualifying hospital stay, and it's been recommended that they go to a skilled nursing facility. I always strongly encourage that for your benefit, in the sense that the more therapies you receive in a week is just going to get you stronger and rebound faster and up to your baseline level of care sooner. In a Part B situation, that 2 day a week that they may come in, it might take that 3 days that you're with us before your referral from the physician and the therapy comes in to do that eval. So, you know, maybe you came on day 1 of your short stay and your referral was sent to the therapist. They may not come out for 3 days to do your initial eval. So if you were coming short stay on a Part B situation, you may be back home in your independent apartment by the time your therapies start. So that's that on short stay and skilled nursing facility. And I think that's all I have until Q&A.
Thank you, Heather. Question did come up, wanting to know, it sounds like you're saying that you get 3 days, but if you want to stay more, you could pay for it. And the answer to that is yes.
Yes, I have had folks who, you know, not are only here 3 days, they may be here a week, a month. And I've actually had individuals there longer, a couple of months. And some folks that come down, they're there a few days or a week, a couple of weeks, and then they find that they really benefit from having that 24-hour support, and sometimes decide to make a transition to assisted living or the Metcalf and not even return home.
Thank you, Heather. I'm going to take this opportunity. I see, Mandy, you have a hand. Are you going to brag? I was gonna brag.
Oh, were you gonna brag? I know I was gonna let Heather have the honors.
Okay, go for
I
it.
forgot.
It's okay. So what Teresa was going to say is that the Metcalf and Terrace are surveyed every other year by a Department of Human Services, Safety, Oversight, and Quality in order to renew our license. And our last survey, which occurred last year in the middle of the pandemic, we were deficiency free in both the Metcalf and the Terrace. And in this day and age, to get a deficiency free survey is a very rare thing. So we're quite proud of the team and the procedures and the training and the systems that we have in place over there. And it really, speaks to Heather's leadership and the staff.
That was going to be my brag.
Okay.
Thank you.
But Teresa, I did also want to add, I see there was a question about insurance. And I do want to make note that some long-term care insurance plans will cover expenses, in-home care expenses, or assisted living expenses. It depends on the specific plan that you have in place. But any member of my team would be happy to sit down with anybody if they had questions about their long-term care insurance to see what would be covered if they were to move in to Terwilliger Plaza.
Thank you. And I know Heather reviewed this, but I just need to reiterate it because my background, for some of you may know, is I was a nursing home administrator here in Portland for 10 years. So I know the staffing ratios in skilled nursing. To my knowledge, there is no other assisted living in our area that has licensed nurses on 24/7. It just does not exist. It does not pay to do that. So most communities or most assisted livings don't. And the other thing is those ratios she mentioned, those are just as good, if not better, than what the state requires for skilled nursing. So it's very, very unique. So I think we did have a question, Mandy, you had talked a little bit about rehabilitation. Someone was asking, a little confused of what is Infinity Rehab and how do they partner with us? Maybe just a quick overview of that.
Sure. So Infinity Rehab is an outpatient provider that has a dedicated space on our campus. It's located next to the Wellness Center. They are able to provide physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy in your own home or in their dedicated space. And they often use the Wellness Center as well to help you achieve your therapy goals. Typically, they get involved when you are discharging from the hospital or from a skilled nursing facility, and they want to help continue with your therapy goals in improving your strength. Perhaps they'll do like a home assessment or home eval to make sure that you have assistive devices in place that can support you to live safely in your home. They'll work with you on getting any sort of durable medical equipment that you might need to support you in achieving your activities of daily living, mobility, making it easier for you to take showers, and just do your normal tasks throughout your apartment. As previously mentioned, it is covered under your Medicare B benefit. And as Heather indicated, it typically is just a couple times a week. But it is a great benefit that we have on site here for our members.
Thank you, Mandy. Yeah, and I think also people, maybe you mentioned this, but people, if they know they're having a surgery coming up, they'll kind of preemptively start working with a physical therapist to, I think we all know that if you go in for surgery, the better shape you're in going into that, the more successful you're likely to be. So
It's very true.
Another benefit. So a lot of people asked about memory care and how we support our members who might be experiencing some cognitive decline, even though we do not have a dedicated memory care locked unit, if you will. So I think Mandy, are you the best person to start off on?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Heather to tag team this one with me. But what we do is an integrated approach to providing memory support services. And it's really about what the individual needs are of the person living with dementia. As you progress through the disease, it is very unique to you. Not everybody moves through the 7 stages of dementia in the exact order. And so you really, a one-size-fits-all program does not really meet the need. And so it comes down to person-centered memory support solutions. It's about knowing or anticipating your needs and wants and knowing your likes and dislikes. And that's for each individual member. And how we approach that is by having a robust and engaging life enrichment program that's tailored to meet the needs and preferences in a meaningful and purposeful way. It often involves personalized one-on-one activities of companionship. We utilize sensory kits and also therapeutic programming such as aromatherapy, music therapy, pet therapy, and art therapy. We integrate design and technology solutions as needed, such as GPS technology, ID bracelets, doorbell notifications that can help alert the staff when somebody's exiting their apartment. We have our WanderGuard technology on the doors of our assisted living and residential care communities. This is a good deterrent to those who may be exit seeking. And we're concerned about their safety outside of the community. So if they do attempt to leave the community, there is a delay in those doors opening, which often is just the right amount of time needed for that member to lose interest in going through that door or for staff to intervene and redirect the individual. We've also employed, they call it masked exit doors, where you'll make the door look like a bookcase or some other part of the regular environment. So on an initial glance at that, you don't see a door, which means I want to go through it. What you see is a bookcase, and then you continue to engage your environment in a different way. We also do wayfinding cues, which would be artwork and personalized door decorations. And then lastly, and I think this is probably most important, is the dementia training that we have for our staff. That staff education piece is so critical. We provide, there's mandatory pre-service dementia training for all new employees that come into the plaza. And that's not just for healthcare employees, that's for all employees, regardless of where they work on campus. And then we also have 6 hours of continuing education, dementia training annually. And that's just a minimum. We go well beyond that 6 hours and have recently engaged the services of a consultant who specializes in Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia to come and provide hands-on training for our healthcare staff in the Metcalf and Terrace. Heather, would you be willing to talk a little bit more about the types of education that the staff are receiving?
Sure. So the pre-service dementia training alone that all staff, regardless of their department, receive prior to moving in would be education on the dementia disease process, including the progression of the disease, memory loss, and psychiatric and behavioral symptoms, techniques for understanding, communicating, and responding to distressful behavioral symptoms, including but not limited to reducing the use of any antipsychotic medications for non-standard uses, strategies for addressing social needs of persons with dementia and engaging them in those meaningful activities with life enrichment, information concerning specific aspects of dementia care and ensuring the safety of residents with dementia, identifying and addressing pain, and those individuals providing food and fluids, preventing wandering and elopement, and using that person-centered approach that Mandy had mentioned. The additional 6 hours, when I create my training plan every year, there's no specific topics that have to be covered on that, but based on our current population, maybe based on current behaviors that we're seeing or situations staff are dealing with, I use that as my guide for what sorts of additional trainings I want to include, so we can really train on those real life situations that they're experiencing. And then with our consultant we've been using, so for example, I just had her at our health services all staff meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we had her do a training on bathing without battle, because we do have a handful of residents that either refuse, or a shower or bathing seems to be distressful to them, whether their dementia is more advanced and they don't understand what is happening, or maybe it's just a sense of not wanting a stranger to see them undressed, those sorts of situations. So she came in, she provided the setup for performing bed baths. She brought towels, clips, showing staff how to, cover a member and then remove their clothes from underneath that cover so they never feel like they're exposed or undressed. She opened up and staff were able to talk about specific individuals that they're having challenges with. And together with her and the team, they were able to come up with some interventions to try with those folks. And with that, we took those interventions and have incorporated those into those individual member service plans. So, we can have success, better success with bathing for those individuals. So that's just an example of the dementia training and stuff for memory support.
You, Heather and Mandy. Yeah, I think that is one of the questions we get asked a lot.
Mhm.
And as Mandy mentioned, going into a locked, secure memory care unit is not necessarily the best option. And in fact, for most people, it's one of the worst options. So it just really depends on your particular individual needs, and that's what the team will help work through and determine what will help you be successful and stay as independent as long as you can, hopefully forever. All right, so the next section, Mandy, I think this will be a tag team too with Christine's social services section, just about some of the different things that Christine can offer and some of the benefits that her programming gives to our members.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest benefits are the support groups that she leads. And those include a dementia caregivers support group, which is for those caring for a spouse or partner with dementia. Members who attend this group share their personal experiences and discuss challenges and successes in caring for a loved one with dementia. She also leads an energy-based healing group, which focuses on healing through energy work to support and guide guided meditation to facilitate physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health and self-healing. She has a Living Through Aging support group, which provides an opportunity for members to share challenges and changes they face as they age and how to cope with aging. Challenges such as decreased physical and cognitive function, loneliness, ageism, memory issues, loss of loved ones, finding meaning and purpose, and planning for end of life are topics that are discussed at the group.
Wow.
She recently started a low vision support group for those coping with vision loss and how they can learn about different types and impacts of eye diseases, coping skills, technical and non-technical aids and resources, alternative ways of doing tasks, and then receive emotional support from the group. And in fact, that group was started in partnership with one of our members. They co-lead that. And then lastly, she has a reminiscing group, which is for members of the Terrace and Metcalf to participate in reminiscence therapy, recalling memories through discussions and activities. And our support groups have changed over time, and it really comes down to what are the current needs of our memberships. That's what helps dictate the types of support groups. We've had Parkinson's support groups in the past that partnered with the wellness program and integrated exercise and boxing techniques, which are proven to help with movement and some of the rigidity that comes along with Parkinson's. Christine also coordinates multiple presentations throughout the year. And most recently, she coordinated a series of presentations hosted by the Alzheimer's Association. And then I previously mentioned, but I think it's worth mentioning again, that she can do a series of assessments and screenings around depression, anxiety, and cognitive changes as well. And then based on the results of those, she will work with you on setting up resources for you to work through those challenges.
Thank you, Mandy. Yeah, that's that's a lot that she offers.
It is a lot.
Great. So I'm going to ask Tamra, our wellness manager, to share with us next. But I do want to tell you, as Parkview members, and I'm saying this because like probably half of the people on this call are Parkview members. You as a Parkview member, you are a member. So that means you can sign up with Tamra, go through a health assessment, get a key fob that will allow you access to our wellness center and our aquatic center. So please take advantage of that if you're a Parkview member, if that's something that you would enjoy. And then Tamra, for some of us on campus here who attend her staff workout on Monday, some of us just see her as someone who brings on pain and agony, but she actually does a lot more than that. So Tamra, if you want to help us learn about what you do and how what you do can help our members.
Only the most productive form of pain. Discomfort. I bring on discomfort.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
So yeah, actually I noticed when I scrolled the names of people that were on here, I saw a few names of our Parkview members who have come in and gotten either a wellness or aquatic center orientation or both. So we actually have really enjoyed seeing how many of our new members are coming and integrating into the community already. So talking about smooth transitions, it'll be really nice when you move in and you know so many people already. So I'm Tamara Clifton. I'm the wellness center, the wellness manager here at Twilliger Plaza. And that puts me in charge of the wellness center, also the aquatic center, the pool and the spa. And I'm in charge of the group exercise program, which is not limited to those two spaces because we have so much participation. We actually spend a fair share of time in the auditorium and some of the larger spaces, as well as outside. Actually, I didn't even write anything about strolls there. So so I'll say that before I forget. During the spring through early fall, we actually take our members out on strolls or sometimes treks. The difference being a stroll just leaves from the plaza and the trek is we load up into the bus or van and we drive somewhere else to take a little walk around. So we're everywhere in wellness. We're a small team and you'll get to know us, I hope. So the Wellness Center is our gym. It used to be called the Fitness Center, but our focus is more on total wellness than just exercise. So that's the terminology we use. And through the Wellness Center, I have 2 employees that work under me. I have a wellness coach, which you might think, what is that? It's a personal trainer. We chose the terminology wellness coach because the terminology between personal trainer and physical therapist is a little confusing to everybody. And so we do have that one personal trainer, wellness coach, whom you will probably meet if you come in and do some orientations. And I also have a restorative aide who works part-time in the wellness center, and she works part-time for our, we loan her, I guess, to the life enrichment department, where she spends the bulk of her time in the assisted living spaces doing activities of daily living, post-therapy, rehab, mobility, and really quite just a bit of socialization exercises with our assisted living members. So those are my two full-time staff. And I also have a part-time group exercise instructor. In the aquatic center, we have our swimming pool, which is, I wish I could just rattle off the length and depth. Well, I can rattle off the depth of it. It's 4 to 5 feet deep. It's 89 degrees, which is a little warm if you're a lap swimmer and a little cool if you're looking for a therapy pool. So we try to split the difference. And we also have a spa or a hot tub. We do have classes in the aquatic center in the pool. We have classes in the wellness center, and we have some larger group exercise classes that we hold in the auditorium, including yoga. We have mat yoga, and we have chair yoga, which can be done either seated or standing behind the chair for people who just don't want to get down on the floor. And so we do serve a broad range of mobilities and energy levels. And most of the classes that we have are free. We will occasionally offer a special series of classes for an additional fee. We don't have any of that going on right now because we're just trying to get everybody out of COVID and up and moving again. But we have in the past offered short Pilates classes, and I think the yoga program used to be for pay, now it's free. And we're looking at getting a boxing program. And so we're always looking at new and fun ways to add on to that. However, we are not all about exercise. So we make our programming in consideration of 7 dimensions of wellness. You're not going to be tested on this, but I'm going to tell you what they are: physical, social, intellectual, spiritual, emotional, environmental, and vocational, or sometimes they call that occupational wellness. So really anything that you do that makes your life better, we're going to categorize that as wellness activities. So, and I'll explain a little bit about that, but we do try to create programming that serves the whole person. And we're not going to be like, this is just a physical activity and this is just an intellectual activity. We really like to mishmash and make a big casserole of wellness for you. One of the programs that we do offer with some regularity is called A Matter of Balance. And that is a complimentary 8-week program that it was not started here at Terwilliger Plaza. It was actually started out in Massachusetts, in Maine. It is an evidence-based 8-week fall prevention program that is also pretty holistic. It works not just on exercise to improve your balance, but also how to think about advocating for yourself, how you think about your changing needs, how you organize your home, how you talk to your family, how you talk to your doctor, how you manage your meds, and all of that kind of stuff, and how we can really get you to not eliminate the fear of falling, but really mitigate the fear of falling and keep it realistic and make those falls as preventable as possible. So that is a program that we offer through a partnership with OHSU and a program called Think First up at OHSU. And we offer that complimentary to our members 2 or 3 times a year. So we just wrapped up a super successful session of that. And I am already more than half full for our next session that will start this summer. And that is something that you can take advantage of as a Parkview member as well. So we'll just get you all the information you need, and you can get signed up for that if you want to take that even before you move in. Another program that we offer with great regularity is our fall prevention seminars. And usually we do kind of arrange those to feed into a Matter of Balance course. But we put a lot of effort into keeping you upright. We do 2 times a year, we do a fall prevention seminar. And we do that through our partnerships with OHSU and Think First. And we also do that through our partnership with Infinity Rehab. And each January, we do a fall prevention program that focuses on falling and avoiding traumatic brain injuries. We talk a lot about concussion and brain health in conjunction with that. And in the fall, we talk a little bit more about exercise to prevent falls and to really mitigate your risks. We also I am actually going to be partnering with Amber, our physical therapist, our in-house physical therapist from Infinity, to do a workshop on assistive devices. So you can learn how to use sticks, or make sure your walker is fit properly, or how to walk with a cane, or how to safely fit and use and navigate your space with an assistive device. We also, I'm going to talk for a long time. You might get some coffee. We also have a machine, a big fancy exercise computer up in the Wellness Center called the iBalance machine, which is a super sophisticated computer that you step on, and we test you very painlessly on your ability to stand still and your range of motion through your balance. And all that information goes magically into the computer, and it spits out some exercises that will help you improve in a very specific way. They'll say, oh, look, it looks like the front side of your left is a little bit more off balance. It's going to give you exercises that will give you a real sense of balance, but also will focus on whatever part of you is weakest. And it's a lot of fun. So it's that sounds really fancy and technical, but it's all based on balance games and just moving around like you're playing a computer game. So that is something that is complimentary for our members as well. We give you an initial assessment, and we show you how to use the program, which is available 24 hours a day. I guess I should have said that when I talked about the Wellness Center. So I'm going to skip back just for a second. We are available as a staff pretty much when your bank is open. So Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. But we do give you the orientation so that you can come in, and with independent use, you're able to use those facilities 24/7, holidays, weekends included. So the pool, the aquatic center, is not quite 24 hours, but once you go through your orientation and are granted independent access, you can use the pool and the locker room and the hot tub from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. on weekdays and 8 to 5 on weekends. So a little better than banker's hours on that. And that's only because we need to keep on top of the chemical balance in the pool. So we can't have you swimming at 3 a.m. because we're not checking until the morning. I'm almost there. So a couple other events that we offer each year in the wellness department is we have a wellness fair. So if you want to pull out a pen and write this down, on Wednesday, June 1st, we are having our annual wellness fair here at the Plaza. It's from 9 till 12. And this is a super fun event. This is one of the best things that we do. This is one of our greatest touch points with our membership at large. We always make it fun. This year, our theme is country fair. So it's going to be kind of a little, yeehaw hoedown. There's going to be food, and there's going to be, there might be line dancing. I haven't told our in-house members that yet. So there might be a little bit of that. There might be a lot of different ways to experience wellness in a very holistic way. There's going to be a lot of vendors and services inside the plaza and outside of the plaza. And if I didn't say food twice yet, I'll say there's lots of good food and snacks and things. So that's free to attend. You don't need to sign up. You can just show up and be a part of the good time. That's Wednesday, June 1st from 9 a.m. until noon in the auditorium. So please come and check that out. It's a nice chance to meet people and see the kinds of stuff that interests the people that are here, hopefully. Another event that we do in wellness is Active Aging Week. That's every October. It usually falls on the first week of October, and that is 7 days of wellness programming where we just really throw everything at you that we can. We bring in speakers, we have extra classes, we'll do off-site activities, we'll do a lot of things. And we pretty much always structure those around making sure we're hitting all 7 dimensions of wellness. For example, last year, we did a hula dancing class. We had some hula instructors come in from Beaverton, and they taught a little choreographed dance. So not only was that physical and social, but it was also intellectual. We're doing a little bit of memorizing and emotional, very pleasant to listen and move to music. We did a cleanup, a community cleanup through an organization called Solve that goes throughout Oregon. They do a lot of beach cleanups. We took a team out into the park and the surrounding areas, including the Parkview block, and just picked up garbage and just tidied up our space. And that, of course, is an environmental task, also a vocational task, as volunteering is a vocation. Also, we're walking around, so that was also physical and also social. We have done a program by a local yoga instructor, a woman of color who was really doing some terrific work on trying to decolonize yoga. And you can talk to me afterwards about what that means, because I can give you a whole other hour on that. But it was just about yoga as activism and really taking all of those good yogi vibes and putting them out into the community. So that had a spiritual aspect as well as social, vocational, physical. We have speakers come in from Portland State University down the street to talk about their program, in which folks over the age of 65 can audit, I think it's like 90% of their classes for free. So that's a really underused and amazing program. We've also had people come in from New Seasons and a local, well, semi-local marijuana farm to talk about CBD and how that can aid in inflammation and other various and sundry health aspects of that. So we really try to throw our net pretty wide on Active Aging Week and bring you things that you knew you want and things that you didn't know that you wanted and things that will delight and entertain you and make you laugh and make you think a little bit. So that's what we're here for. So lastly, we also in wellness have a focus on brain health. So a lot of times we are just trying to integrate mind body. That's, something of a cliche, right? Mind body connection. We think a lot about that. So in addition to our education that we'll give you about traumatic brain injuries and that kind of brain health, we also do a lot of planning of our activities into integrating the mind body connection. So one of my personal contributions to Terwilliger Plaza is when I got here, my first week, I was looking around at all of the art in the halls. And I think I'd been here a couple of days when I decided to make a scavenger hunt. And so what I did is I walked around and I made notes of where certain things were, and I gave clues, little puzzles to solve, some easy, some hard, and created a program called the Art Hunt, where I gave people 3 weeks to run around and solve the scavenger hunt, turn in their game sheet to win prizes. And I thought that was going to be just something fun and amusing that would amuse me and hopefully bring some activity But it was so popular. I've done 4 more since, and people are already asking me, when is the next art hunt? When is the next art hunt? So that's a really nice humanities, intellectual, physical combo. And that's the kind of stuff that we really dig around here. So thank you for all of that. I am available for questions. I may have told you everything.
Thank you, Tamara. As you can see, it's a huge part of life here and the benefits of being here. We have one last section that I want to make sure we get through. Go ahead,
Real
Mandy.
quick, Teresa, I apologize for interrupting, but I did just see a message come through about nutrition as a wellness component. And I know that wellness does a lot of programming around nutrition. So Tamara, if you could just, maybe highlight the Healthy Heart Party and other things.
Yes, thank you. I am passionate about nutrition, and so I try to bring that into everything that we do. So we do partner with dining services to do educational things. We actually did even an employee thing called Featured Fruits during the pandemic, which was really fun to just try to bring some nutrition information to the staff as well as the members. But our biggest nutrition push each year is in February. Each year we do a Healthy Heart Party, and we partner with dining services to do a discussion about heart health, nutrition, and our wonderful beloved chef Erin will do a cooking demonstration, and we'll talk about that while we're feeding you and learning about that. But there's also various mini events throughout the year where we'll educate and feed you, and I look forward to integrating a lot more with dining services as we go forward. That's certainly been a focus. Thank you for asking that.
Perfect, thank you. So Mandy, I think this might be where you will take over for Christine, or you can pass the baton, but just a roundup of how does the transition of care, like if you're in independent living and maybe at some point you need to go to assisted, what does that look like?
Sure. So all staff at Terwilliger Plaza are trained to help identify when members are having changing needs or experience an increase in difficulties in completing tasks or other activities of daily living. When they make these observations, they notify a team here at the Plaza that we call the Psychosocial Support Team. This is a team made up of the health and wellness managers who meet regularly to review and discuss situations where additional support services or interventions may be needed to help a member maintain their optimum health and well-being in a safe and secure way and in the appropriate environment. So when we've identified individuals who appear to be struggling, a staff member from this team will reach out to the member to discuss resources and support services that are available both within and outside of the Plaza. There may be times where we need to hold a care conference with the member and their families to address concerns and establish support services as needed. Social services is the point of contact for care conferences and transition conversations. They provide ongoing support and counseling to members and their family in creating an appropriate support system based on needs, preferences, and financial resources. So in some situations, it may be that a referral to in-home services is made, and that individual just needs a couple hours a week to assist with some of the basic activities of daily living. In other cases, we may have concerns about a member's safety. Maybe we're noticing an increase in falls, and we're doing emergency response more frequently. In those cases, we would be looking at setting you up with therapy, in-home services, and other types of support systems. If those concerns persist, that's when we really move forward with the care conference and start that conversation towards a transition to the higher level of care. And we work in tandem with, so social services works very closely with the health services team, the member and their family to come up with the best scenario possible for the situation.
Perfect. Thank you, Mandy. I think it is 11:42, so I want to make sure we open it up to questions. I know there is one question in the chat room about what we did during COVID and what we might do for another serious spike. Maybe Heather or Mandy, if you want to do a quick review on that, and then we can move on to other questions.
Oh, I'm pitching that over to Heather Lucas because she is our designated infection control specialist.
Okay, so, the pandemic came 2.5 years ago now. Terwilliger Plaza really came together, and we met regularly, many of us directors and managers, almost weekly through the beginning process. Everybody at the onset of the pandemic, it was new. We were learning, things had to change. There was COVID cases. Over the course of the last 2.5 years, there's been a lot of change, but we've also done extremely amazing at Terwilliger Plaza. Just to kind of put things in context, we have about 180 staff and about 350 residents that live here. So, you're looking at 550 folks on campus. And in 2020, I believe we only had, was that 39 cases campus-wide? I think that was my number. So let me pull it up here real quick. And so a lot of it, is for the licensed areas, the approach that we took, our licensed separate areas are regulated by DHS and Oregon Health Authority. And Terwilliger Plaza took many of the licensed area requirements for visitors, and infection control and masking. And we applied that campus-wide in many circumstances, even in our independent living common areas. And I think that had a lot to do with our success here on campus. I was just pulling up it's hard to believe so many years have gone by here. So bear with me just a second.
Heather, are you recalling the number of cases?
Yeah.
So in 2020, we had 21.
Yep.
And in
21.
2021, we had 12.
Yes, there we go. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then of course, Omicron hit this year, and we saw as many cases in 39 days as we did, in the first 2 years of the pandemic. But we still did extremely well and continue to do extremely well. So as it sits right now in the licensed areas, there are still some restrictions to visitation. Visitors are required to visit, if you're within the walls of the licensed area, you're to visit in the member's apartment and remain masked while in those areas and in the member's apartment. Outside of those licensed areas, you are unmasked, and you can even bring your loved one out of the licensed areas into a common area on campus and visit. Staff are still required to wear masks in the licensed areas. And then also we continue to do COVID testing. So I continue to do weekly COVID testing in any staff that are not considered per CDC standards fully vaccinated, which would include, the original series as well as a booster dose when eligible. So I test probably about 30 to 35 individuals on a weekly basis. Our vaccination rates are really high here. We did a lot of education leading up to implementing vaccination clinics for staff and residents. I think staff wise, my last report was about a 96, 97% vaccination rate in staff. And that was only because we have some newer staff on that were in the series. And we had I would say 75% of our staff are boosted, that were vaccinated or also boosted. In our licensed areas, we are 100% vaccinated in our members. So really high vaccination rates here. Anything I didn't hit on, Mandy, that pops to, I just get to go on.
I
It's
know,
part of
I
life.
know.
It's hard. It's just, you live it every day. So it's,
Yeah.
you don't think about it separately.
Well, I will just mention that there was a question posted in the chat asking if we do exams for COVID and how about home tests and how to use them. So members can call the health clinic. We have home tests available through the health clinic. We also have the PCR tests that we can administer, and the staff in the health clinic will help you do your home test or collect that PCR test for you and send it to the lab. So we can support members who, when they become symptomatic, we can get you tested right away.
Thank you. Clarification on the COVID question was, in the beginning with the restrictions, were we allowed to leave the building and so forth? And I always say, we were not a jail. We did not turn into a jail.
Right.
But visitors could not come in with a couple exceptions. But certainly if you wanted to go for a walk or go to the grocery store, of course, when you came back, of course, pretty much at that time, everywhere you had to be masked. But so you could certainly go out and about, but before vaccines were in place, we absolutely restricted visitors.
In the licensed areas, DHS restricted visitation to a lot of places or situations, licensed settings, with the exception of compassionate care situations. So in those situations that somebody was maybe on hospice or somebody had, pretty advanced dementia, and it was beneficial for them to have regular contact with like a loved one or a family member, like it helped them cope or get through it, we would consider that a compassionate care situation and they would be able to come in. Or if somebody newly moved into assisted living, that transition phase, having support or visits from family could be considered a compassionate care situation. So those situations were still allowed. Kind of how we treated that here in the licensed areas, because I know with the pandemic, there was the big fear, and a lot of facilities experienced it, was that social isolation. A lot of facilities just like shut down. Every member stayed in their apartment. They ate by themselves in their room. And the approach that we took here in the licensed areas was each floor was like their individual household, right? So like your home where you live together, you eat together. So, terrace first floor, that was their household. They were around one another, they were there. And so our folks didn't really have as many social isolation struggles as a lot of communities did during the pandemic.
Thank you, Heather. All right, I think we'll go ahead and open it up to other, there was one question about food. And the assisted living offer special food, like for food allergens and special meal requests?
Absolutely. So our main restaurant, the Dunaway, the main kitchen, prepares all of the food at Terwilliger Plaza. So in your normal standalone ALF, you might just have one set menu, but you have a lot of options here. So there is a menu that is created. Through the register. So the programming for all the diet, and when the kitchen and the chefs create the menu, all of that needs to be approved through a dietitian, essentially through their programming that allows for a balanced diet. So there are some restrictions to diets though. In the assisted living environment, we don't get into like the specific calorie counting. So maybe somebody's on a 2,000 calorie diet a day. We don't get into the counting calorie or like 1,500 milligrams of sodium or something, right? We don't get into that specific counting, but we do the diets that are heart healthy diets. So you have your fish, your chicken, protein options, your no added salt for those that might be some sodium restrictions there. So no added salt diets. For like diabetic diets, it may be smaller portions. As far as textures go, we do mechanical soft, we do pureed. So we are able to accommodate those as well. And we have vegan and we have some gluten-free options, so there's such a large menu available in the restaurant that really most people's food needs can be met, and you have choices. So you're able to choose. It's not like you have to have what is being served or the special of the day. So you have lots of choices.
Great. All right. Anybody want to raise hand or shout out a question?
I see Will Sullivan.
Thank you. And thank you, team, for a wonderful presentation today, very educational. This is a question that is really about the number of lives you're caring for that are members of the community. So I think I heard there's approximately 550 residents on these Terrace, Metcalf, and then in the Tower and the Heights. With Parkview coming on board, how many additional souls or lives are going to be joining the community?
So we actually have about in the residents, so that 550 was including staff. We have about 180 staff. So really resident wise currently, it's about 350. And so adding Parkview, that's 127 apartments, could be potentially a couple hundred additional residents. But Mandy, do you want to talk about like the long-term plan of the property to the north of us?
Sure, absolutely. And Teresa, you can also tag team this one with me. So we have acquired a significant portion of the block that is just north of Terwilliger Plaza on the other side of Carruthers. And that has been designated for expanding our healthcare capabilities. So what we intend to do is we will keep the terrace, which is for 43 apartments. We will phase out the Metcalf, which is at this point about 20 apartments, and relocate and absorb those members in the new healthcare community that we build over there. We're looking, there's a percentage of the overall population. There's a formula that you usually work with that helps determine how many healthcare beds you need for that population. So it's typically between 15 and 17% of your overall resident population you want to be able to have healthcare beds and resources available for them. So we're probably going to be coming in around 80 to 90 beds over there in total. I'm sorry, in total, with including the terrace as well. As far as what that looks like, that is still under discussion. We have engaged the services of an architect, the same architect that we've been working with this entire time for Parkview, who are going to help us work through what the design is going to look like. I can tell you it is going to be very dementia friendly, and will likely have a dedicated dementia neighborhood. Now, whether it's going to be an endorsed memory care unit well, that's still up for discussion at this point, but we are doing a lot of research over the next year to help us make really good informed decisions about what that space is going to look like.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to hear of that level of vision that attends the current development, that there's the longer term view for the health of the entire community. So thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Any other questions? So I see Sandy, you asked, what will we do with the space where we move people out of? I'm assuming you're talking about the Metcalf when we close that. I'm sure we have all kinds of plans for that.
Yeah, it depends on which group you talk to, because I think we all have ideas on what it could be.
Teresa, are you there? Are you free for a question at this point?
Go for it, Al.
Okay, maybe going from one extreme to the other. I heard that two podiatrists apparently show up in conjunction with Kat's program. I didn't hear anything about foot care, and I'm talking about nail care and that kind of thing. It seems like in the greater world of COVID that all the nail care programs have kind of disappeared or have greatly shrunk. And I'm wondering if Terwilliger has a nail care program for those who are just looking to get their toenails clipped and their feet properly ready to put in a shoe.
So
We
Al,
do.
we actually, Mandy, do you want to talk about it?
Oh, go for it, Heather.
Sorry, I just get to let go and I love all this discussion stuff. So several options. You know, we have a salon on site. They're able to provide nail care service at a fee as well. With the two podiatry options, you are correct. During the pandemic, it was not easy. Our one podiatrist, Dr. Rathbun, she was our primary podiatrist. She was solely private pay, and it was hard finding podiatrists to come in, but fortunately in the last, it's probably been 6 months now, we found a new podiatrist that visits, and he provides quite a expansive list of services, routine visits. He comes in about, I think it's every 8 or 9 weeks. He can bill insurances, he can bill Medicare if you have Medicare. He can also sometimes come in on occasion for kind of like emergency visits. If you have something going on, if we reach out, you know, he may be able to come in and see you. And in the licensed areas, that is something that we would put as part of your service plan. So if you have easy to manage, not real thick toenails and things like that, the caregivers would provide your nail care, you know, on a weekly basis or as needed. If you have much more difficult nails to trim, the licensed nurse could do your nail care, but you could also see the podiatrist when they come in for nail care services. So lots of options at all levels.
Okay, and maybe just good. Thank you very much on that. And just not exactly the same thing, but some people have mobility scooters like I do, and I have seen others in on the premises. Is there a dedicated mobility scooter maintenance assist person, or like I have a scooter that's kind of a rare scooter in this part of the country, but it has a nice feature that I love, and just getting batteries changed and things like that, I cannot do. So I have a buddy where I'm staying now, but that buddy's not coming with me if I move to Parkview, I'll tell you that. So anyway, long story short, is there somebody who's dedicated to helping people with their mobility scooters? I heard there's some discussion about mobility devices and so forth, but what about mobility scooters?
So just like thinking out loud here, you know, when you say changing batteries, is it you have a battery that you need to, it's fully charged and put it back in? So like a simple work order situation,
Well, you have the batteries don't last forever, you know, and so every year and a half or 2 years or so, you got to get a new battery. And you go to Battery Plus and they'll get your 2 batteries that fit the scooters. And well, they'll put them in if you can get the scooter over it, but if you can't get the scooter over there, you got to go get the batteries and bring them home.
Yeah.
And then get somebody to change. I mean, they're pretty heavy to deal with. And then there's just pulling up the shroud or the cover of all the parts. You know, there's all kinds of wires. You got to know which wire goes where. And
Yeah.
My situation makes it such that I cannot do that personally on my own.
So typically we don't work on individual equipment for members. However, we have a list of resources. So like New Motion is one I think of specifically that can work on mobility devices, that can come in and do repairs and some of those things. There might be simple situations if you have the battery and it's a simple swap out and you just can't reach or get in the position to do that yourself, that maybe a simple work order, might work. But as far as repairs and maintenance and mechanics, we don't provide that service on members' individual equipment.
It's too much of a liability for Terwilliger to assume that, since we're not experts in those devices. However, we can connect you with resources. And for certain equipment, we have a central supply coordinator who can help order some adaptive devices and durable medical equipment for you. And in fact, we may be able to arrange for a clinic with an outside provider to come in, a third-party provider to come in and do some of those, like a maintenance clinic in the future, like every few months to support the needs of people like you, Al.
Thank you.
That's somewhat encouraging. Let's put it that way.
We are full of
That's fair.
resources.
Right.
Let me, I want to answer, somebody asked too about adding wellness staff. Tamara did have to jump off because she has a personal training session with a member she needs to go join. But I'm going to assume maybe Mandy and Heather, you would know more, but we're going to have to add more staff in every department, essentially. Maintenance, housekeeping, dining, wellness, healthcare, all of them. So yes, and then kind of on that line, David, I think you might have missed on Mandy's explanation, but we will be adding, the question was about adding more assisted living programming. I'm looking at the terrace right now. We basically own almost the entire block directly north of the terrace. So we will be adding another 40 to 50 assisted living homes in the very near future. First, we're going to get Parkview up and going, which is in the fall of 2023. So it will be after that. I don't have an exact date yet. But yes, we know that we have to add more healthcare. So we've been planning on that. I think, gosh, it's probably been 10 years that we've been acquiring pieces and parts of that property because we've known many, many years ago, this is part of what Terwilliger does, is this live forward and planning forward. We're planning on it. So.
And most individuals, if it's all right for me to add to that, most individuals will not require this healthcare services until about 5 to 7 years after they move in. And that's just based on the experience we've had here, as well as kind of the national average. Well, in fact, our population is, and because we have an amazing wellness program, it's typically what we've seen is around 9 or 10 years individuals are needing the higher level of care after moving in. So we've got some time to get those facilities built.
All right, we're a little bit over time. So if anyone has one last question, I'm happy to answer that. And then I will stay on a little bit longer to tie up loose ends. Any last minute questions? All right. Thank you again for everyone for joining. I know a few people had to jump off. I do want to remind everyone our next event is actually an in-person event on June 16th. This is a Meet the Architect. So for those of you Parkview members already on here, this is, it is kind of really more for people who are just learning about Parkview. Of course, you're welcome to come, but Most Parkview members have seen this presentation where our lead architect, Peter House Connect, will be coming. But this is an opportunity to learn about our passive house design and the interior design concept. So it's a learning opportunity there. And then, I don't know, you guys can see behind me, we just moved to our new design center. See, it's very nice. That's literally just 1 block north of Parkview. So we will be having open houses in the coming weeks. We just moved here on Monday. So welcome all of you to come visit us in the design center. And then again, Tamara had to jump off, but I do want to put a plug in for her June 1st wellness fair. Please, if you would like to attend that, let me or one of my team members know so we can make sure we talk to you about where to park and all those logistical things. But it will be a great event, as she said, with lots of vendors and lots of information and a great opportunity for you to meet members who currently live here and just kind of get a feel for life at Terwilliger. So we have been recording this. I'll send this out. It usually takes us a week or so to get the final recording. If you RSVP'd or if you're on here, even if we have some people who couldn't make it, we will send out the recording. And then one last thing on our website, I know a lot of you have attended several of these. If you see in our event section on our website, there's a whole section of past events. If you see one of those that you were not able to attend, there's a very good chance that we have a recording of those. So if you see one that you missed and you'd like to have a recording of, please let us know. And finally, I would really, really like to thank Heather, Kat, and Mandy, and Tamara. Thank you so much. I'm telling you, this is it's a huge part of our community and the continuum of care. Frankly, it's one of the main reasons why people choose Terwilliger Plaza and in a community like this. So, all right. Any last minute things? Jess, did I miss anything? Nope. All right. Well, hopefully everyone has their garden gloves and all their pots and plants and all their gardening stuff ready to go if that's something you do, because it is supposed to be quite lovely this weekend. So thank you again, everyone, for joining. And again, thank you, Health Services team, so much.
I look forward to seeing these faces in the future.
Thank you, Heather.
Hi, thank you so much.